I remember the last two chief rabbis,
Mm-hmm.
Lord Jakobovitz, Zecher Sadik Devracha, and of course the inspiring Chief Rabbi Lord Sachs. Rabbi Mirvis has got a very hard job to follow, hasn't he?
Yes, he has a very high standard that's been set for him, and I'm sure he will do it in his own way. He has great strengths, and I think he will be a very worthy successor. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy for him, it's going to be very hard, but I've got great confidence that he's going to do a wonderful job.
Lord Jakobovitz and Lord Sachs are household names, aren't they? You know, in the Jewish and non-Jewish worlds.
They are indeed. But this was announced. Our decision was announced at late evening last night.
Yes.
We were talking about Monday night, 17th of December.
Yes.
And since then, there's been emails, Facebook, Twitter. The vast majority of the comments, almost exclusively, has been extremely positive. Been really, really warm comments and saying he's just the right man, he's going to do a fantastic job. And I think that reflects the feeling in the community that he's a choice that people really wanted. And that's so nice. It gives him in some ways, maybe it sets the bar even higher for him because there's great expectations.
Would you describe Rabbi Mirvis as a safe pair of hands?
Well, I have heard him described as that, but I think you need to be very careful because it can be a bit of a pejorative expression. If you're using it to say that he's somebody who really understands Anglo Jewry, he understands our community, he understands what we need, and so he isn't going to take rash and risky decisions that's going to threaten the whole of what we stand for, then yes, he's a safe pair of hands. But if you mean that means he's not going to do very much and he's going to be somebody who doesn't have the intention to introduce new things and to change things, then I think that's entirely wrong. His vision is to make a massive impact on the United Hebrew Congregations, on the United Synagogue, and the whole of Anglo Jewry. So safe pair of hands, yes, but plus a lot of change coming as well.
Were there other candidates in the frame that could have got the job?
Oh, sure, yeah. We went through a very long process. In fact, not quite as long as the press would have you believe, because the date that our advertisement closed for we were looking for candidates was the 5th of March, and we made the announcement on the 17th of December, which is about 9 months later. 9 months later. And in that time, of course, you lose the best part of a month for summer holidays. Plus you lose a few weeks for Pesach and a few weeks for Yom Raya. And I have to say, during that time, on a personal basis, I lost my mother. I was sitting Shiva in March and Shloshim and so on. So when you kind of take out all those weeks that we weren't doing anything, in terms of the number of weeks we had available to do things, it actually wasn't. I think we did quite quickly, actually.
I think everybody knows the Rabbonim that were in the frame, so we won't go over that. But if it was a final, if it was the Wimbledon Singles Championship, who was Rabbi Mirvis playing against to win that Chief Rabbi elect title, so to speak?
Oh gosh, that's an impossible question to answer.
Some people say it was Rabbi Bolovsky.
Well, Rabbi Bolovsky was certainly a very, very strong candidate, extremely strong candidate, and there are other very strong candidates also.
But if it was the final, who was he up against, Rabbi Mirvis?
I don't think that's the right way to look at it, because we were, continually over the process we were looking for the person who had the best fit to the job description, the strongest person.
But there must have been a process where the Rabbonim must have obviously been told if there were 5 or 6 in the frame, one dropped out, another one dropped out, and eventually there was just 2 left. And who were those 2? Who were those 2?
It didn't quite work that way, because even right at the end, we had said publicly that we were going to carry on looking for candidates, right up to the date of the announcement. And I mean, there was a very strong candidate that came right at the end, which again, it was in the public domain, because he put a statement on his website. It was Rabbi Lapin, David Lapin. Wasn't in the frame at all at the beginning, but he came up, literally weeks before we made the announcement. So it wasn't quite the case of saying, that we're running along with X and then a few less and a few less. That wasn't how it worked. I think Rabbi Mirvis was always very, very strong candidate. I mean, people knew right from the beginning.
Was it important to get the support of the Chief Rabbi Lord Sachs? Was that a really, really important situation to get the support from the Chief Rabbi Lord Sachs?
Chief Rabbi was very, very careful not to express an opinion.
Wow.
He was. I had long chats with him. He felt it was not appropriate for him to express an opinion about one candidate or another candidate. It was only after we had made the selection that he confirmed that he was absolutely delighted.
Because obviously they're going to be working hand in hand, aren't they?
They are.
And so it's very important for them to get on.
They will get on, and in fact I spoke to him today, and Rabbi Mirvis was with him, and he said it's going to be a very, very easy transition. It's going to be all work very well. So he's delighted. He's delighted with our choice, but he was very careful not to lead the working group. He wanted to make sure we came to our own decision. I think, I dare say that had we been about to appoint somebody who he felt was completely inappropriate, he might have got a message to us to say that. But as it happens, that wasn't the case. So
some people in the media are saying that at 55, Rabbi Mirvis is perhaps a younger man would have been better.
Well, I've had that discussion with a lot of people. I remind them that when Ronald Reagan became President of the United States, he was 72. I also remind them that 65, which is the age that Rabbi Sachs is now, is not really retiring age, and he has no intention of retiring. He's going to be even more vigorous. He's stepping down from his current role, but he's not going to retire. He's going to do even more things. We're going to see even more of him, I'm sure, not only here but overseas as well. So I don't think we've got a situation where 65 is viewed as a retiring age for a Chief Rabbi. He's just moving on to something else because he's done it for 21 years, and I think he's ready to do something else. So I feel very happy that we're appointing somebody of the age of Rabbi Mirvis, and I think he'll, hopefully, please God, he'll do the job for as long as he wishes to do it.
And how is Rabbi Mirvis now? Obviously, there were press releases last night, and I suppose his phone hasn't stopped ringing.
Oh, I think he's over the moon. I think he's delighted.
Have you spoken with him today?
Yes. And I think it's the right man for the right job at the right time.
And do you think Rabbi Mirvis is going to get the support of the British and Commonwealth jury, irrespective of which camps they are in?
Well, he's going to have to earn it. There is no automatic right for the Chief Rabbi to occupy that space. He's going to have to earn that. And the last two, as you said, have done that. They've been spokesman for Anglo Jewry. He has been, as you are aware, I'm sure, Chief Rabbi of Ireland, where he occupied that space in that obviously a much smaller environment.
Yes.
But he knows what it means to be a spokesman for the whole of the Jewish community.
Yes.
He has experience of that. And I think he has been warmly received by
all sections.
All sections. So I think it bodes well, but there's no automatic right for him to occupy that space. That has to be earned, and he'll earn it, I'm sure, by being a fabulous communicator, a spokesman.
When the United Synagogue Working Committee were looking for the new Chief Rabbi, what were they looking for?
Well, as you may have seen on the website, there is a very detailed job description, which has the role of these are the different roles of the Chief Rabbi, these are the attributes.
What makes a great Chief Rabbi? What makes a great Chief Rabbi?
Well, a whole combination of things, but I think what attracted me to him, and I think the same is true of other members of my group, was he has a real passion for what he wants to do. And that passion...
I mean, he's done a great job at Finchley Synagogue, hasn't he, at Kinloss?
Turned it around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was a football club, Havdil,
yeah.
That would be top of the Premiership.
It would. So he has a passion for what he's been doing there and what he'd like to do in the new role, and a huge energy that goes with it as well.
Did he get all the support from the working committee?
Yeah.
Was it unanimous, a majority, or unanimous?
What we agreed was that the way that it worked, as you will be aware if you've read the documents, was the working group had to make a recommendation to the consulting group, and we had the consulting group meeting last night. The working group was in the morning, consulting group was in the evening. What we agreed at the working group was it was proposed that that group, as a team, resolves to recommend Rabbi Mirvis to the consulting group. We didn't have a vote. We didn't need a vote.
Right.
It was a resolution as a team that we agreed to make to the consulting group. When we came to the consulting group, there was very, very strong support for him. And again, I said to the meeting, I said, I don't think we necessarily need to have a vote. I mean, it's quite clear there is overwhelming support at this meeting for Rabbi Mirvis, so I'm relaxed. I don't think we need a vote. It was Keith Barnett, who the chairman of Norris Lee. We're actually, I have to say, he very kindly hosted us because he let us use his offices for the meeting at Taylor Wessing, which is fantastic. But Keith said, I'm sure we can do better than that. Why don't we just give him our unanimous support? So I took the mood of the meeting and I asked for everybody to put up their hand, and he indeed got unanimous support.
Can I ask a hypothetical question? If Rabbi Mirvis would have turned the job down, this is very hypothetical, if Rabbi Mirvis would have turned the job down, who would be the new Chief Rabbi-elect today?
I can't answer that. I really can't answer that. We had some extremely good candidates. Most of them have been in the press, and so you know who they are, both here and a few from overseas. So I really can't answer that. All I can tell you is we were delighted, and I've said this publicly on many occasions, we were delighted by the quality of the candidates we had. And a new president of the United States has 100 days, and one assesses what he's done within 100 days. Has Rabbi Mirvis got a target for his first 100 days of office? Well, don't forget, he doesn't actually take office for another 9 months.
And the second question is, why was it important for the United Synagogue to appoint Rabbi Mirvis so early? So there's two questions.
Two questions. Well, let's deal with the last one first. In spite of the pressure from the press to say you must get on with it, we didn't actually feel that in the working group. We said we've got 9 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if we take another 3 months or another 6 months, it doesn't matter. So what? So we just felt, when we got to the end of the process and we're ready to make an announcement, we'll make an announcement. We weren't feeling under particular time pressure. But the reason why it's important is that if you recognise that the person we were likely to pick already has a big job. So you can't suddenly turn around to a shul like Kinloss and say, your rabbi is leaving tomorrow. He has to, like all our Rabbonim have contracts, he has to give 6 months' notice. So he needs to give notice for Kinloss. Kinloss need to start the process of finding a replacement. Whoever they find as their replacement is likely to have to give 6 months' notice. And so you realise that if you're going to avoid a vacuum in replacing him, you do have to have a reasonable amount of lead time.
Can I ask, how does, and I know you're very busy, so we'll just conclude, how does Rabbi Mirvis' personality differ to the Chief Rabbi Lord Sachs?
Gosh, that is a tough question. I could probably be able to answer that better once I worked with Rabbi Mirvis closely for a year or so, which I hope I'll be able to do. I have found him we've been talking a lot over the last little while, as you can imagine, and I found him to be the most delightful person to work with. And one of the reasons I'm so thrilled about this appointment is that I think we will form a great partnership together, doing things both for me.
And that's very important, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, that's not to say I don't have the same relationship with Chief Rabbi Sachs. I do.
I know.
So I contrasting them is difficult, but I think we will have a very hands-on, a very approachable Chief Rabbi who want to get involved with lots of things at a very, very detailed level, which is fantastic. As we said at the beginning of this session, he has an extremely hard act to follow.
Does he know that?
Oh yes, of course he knows that. Yes, I think absolutely. Yeah, but I think he's optimistic that he will make his own mark.
Okay. And just going back to Chief Rabbi Lord Sachs, it must have been a kind of a sad day for him yesterday. It's countdown to. I know you said he's not retiring, but it's like countdown to his retiring as the Chief Rabbi. It must have been a sad day for him.
No, quite the reverse. He was absolutely delighted. I think it was actually a very good day for him because he's very keen to start the process of moving on to his next role, the next things he's going to do. And this was the enabler. This had to be in place for him to be able to do that. So I think he was absolutely delighted by yesterday. I think he was he phoned me to say he was delighted by where we
And the
got
United Synagogue have got plans for obviously Lord Sachs to still be that iconic household name.
Of course, yes, he will continue. I'm sure we'll continue to have a very close relationship with him, and we'll hopefully be able to have a continuing involvement with him for many years.